Well, it was a rough return to action for old Andy last night, but one person's trash is someone else's treasure. If someone went down, someone had to go up. Bad night for Andy means good night for the Gargoyles. So, in honor of them, how about this jersey, by the way? And this is not that new ECHL Greensboro Gargoyles. This is the original Gargoyles. This is the Pacific Beach Hockey ESPN2 Gargoyles. The real ones. I don't know if you remember that league where they played roller hockey outside in Pacific Beach, and they had ramps behind the nets and played with a roller hockey ball, and you used to see wild scores left and right. Essentially, it's the polar opposite of playoff hockey. What I talk about all year long is to prep you guys about what? Clenched ass cheeks hockey, where you see two teams with a bunch of offensive talent out there. Whether you're talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators playing to an under, or you're talking about the Colorado Avalanche on their own home ice playing to a 2-1 under. And we can't act like it's some big surprise because those two teams played last year with all that talent on the ice. And there were multiple unders in that series. Unders are what we have to expect come all playoffs. Now, typically, Game 5, round 1 is when we really say like ready, set, go, and just rip unders for the rest of the playoffs, because that's usually when clenched ass cheeks unders start. They give you a couple game grace period, that first home game, then some game 3s, but you know what? I really don't care. It's going to be clenched ass cheeks unders the rest of the way for me, and it's just going to be all different variations of ways to take unders. And if you look at that Montreal game as an example, I told you I was too scared to take that Suzuki-Caulfield line on the other. That would have been a plus 500 if we just took that under line right there. Instead, we took the under 6.5 with the second line and third line. We hit one of the two on a plus 140 and a plus 130. Last time I checked, you're winning if you do that. If you hit 2+ money bets, one of two. So I'm literally going to go with similar strategy today. It's all clenched ass cheeks unders all the time. So if you were here looking for over on this, over on this, over on this, you're going to be feeling probably like you did last night. Other than old Big Slick, how about Big Slick? Almost every single game coming through. Since the original Big Slick video, I need to know their record, because there was that one game where they rested at the end of the year. I need to know the full Big Slick record, because the return on investment there is pretty astronomical. And just to really emphatically state how clenched ass cheeks the unders are, take every single player. I really was thinking about doing it. Should we all do this tonight? Bet $10 on every listed player's point prop under. Every last one. How are we not going to end up in the profits every single night with these clenched ass cheeks playoffs? I bet you every last night of the playoffs, from here to the end, bet every single player's under. It shouldn't take you that long. Just under, enter, under, enter, under, enter. And let's find some unders to take in these games, because we clearly see a couple of those on the docket. That Winnipeg Jets versus St. Louis Blues game, where the under is set at 5. You think I'm not going to find a way to get that under 6.5? You think I don't have a plethora of old greasy tricks to get that at an under 6.5? Well, I certainly do. And we're going to go with the classic. We're going to go with something we've been using for over 2 seasons now. When these cheeks start to get clenched, we're going to FanDuel. We're going no goal in the first 5 minutes with the under 6.5. My God, that didn't even get us to even. Let's take a strategic third line player under on their goal. Give me a Zach Bolduc goal. No goal in the first 5, under 6.5, under on a Zach Bolduc third line on St. Louis goal. And that will weasel you into the plus 103. If that's a little too much, oh, come on, the 1, 2, 3, I don't want to be doing that. Fine. We will find other things for you in there. I can assure you that. Let's moonwalk just a little bit back then. I need to find a way to get 6.5. There's a reason we play that bump it up around here. It's because we need to bump up those totals they gave us to ones we deem acceptable. And I deem 6.5 acceptable, and I will not take anything less in case there's just that empty net period of the game, which is what we're going to do. We're going to get that Minnesota-Vegas game at under 6.5 once again. And there are many different ways to do this. On the Minnesota side, we saw Marco Rossi sent down to the fourth line. You're going to see these players on almost every single team. There's going to be a player or two available that are a strategic under that you can use to juice your bets. So I want to go under 6.5 in that game between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild, a series where very few penalties are being taken. There are two good goaltenders on the ice. You know Vegas likes to play good defense, and Minnesota is no stranger to defense. So this one reeks like an under as well. So I'm going to go under 6.5 with the under half of a point for Marco Rossi, who was on the fourth line last game. So you're looking at a fourth line power play 2 player in Marco Rossi. So under 6.5, under half of a point. Also, this rookie defenseman that unnecessarily has been given power play 1 time. I just do not understand what the hell they are doing. This is an important series. This is a winnable series, as I told most of you, that Minnesota was in first place before they had these injuries. And then they're just putting this Z.Buium on the top power play. Are you nuts? You have Faber, you have Spurgeon, and you're putting this rookie who absolutely telegraphed a pass in game 1, lost them the game. What the hell are you doing here? Are you just trying to get some ridiculous headlines? Anyway, his ice time is extremely low. He's getting 14, 15 minutes a game. They're putting 26 minutes on Faber. I guess maybe they're not putting Faber on the power play to lighten his workload because of how much they're putting him out there 5-on-5. But this Z.Buium, under half of a point. You can take that and even put that with that under 6.5 in the Winnipeg Jets St. Louis Blues game. And by the way, random side note, how dusty has Mark Stone been? He's absolute dust. I've told you for about 2 years now, riding the coattails of Eichel. If Eichel's not doing it, Stone certainly ain't doing it. You see nothing from him. I'm real tempted to go under on his half-point prop because something tells me the Vegas Golden Knights might switch up some lines tonight. If that top line isn't giving them any production, then maybe look for a slight little juggling. If you see Stone pre-game and those line rushes come out and Stone's down on line 3, you just hammer that under on Stone, because we will see that as teams start to struggle a little bit. You will see some sort of line switching around, which is something that we just saw this morning from the Ottawa Senators. One of the trickle-down benefits of me getting this video to you a little bit later is I can absorb some last-second information. And some last-second information that just came through was that there's some slight juggling with the Ottawa Senators line, and we're seeing David Perron on the fourth line. So you're talking about power play 2, line 4 on a team who hasn't scored much in these first 2 games. So that's another game I'm willing to go under 6.5 and then just throw in that under half of a point on David Perron. You don't want to do that because you think the Leafs are going to light up the scoreboard? Okay, then take that under half of a point for David Perron with that under half of a point for Z.Buium. And then there you go, plus 110 right there. These are strategic. These aren't just random, pick a name out of a hat. I'm looking for people with severely reduced ice time, and I'm looking for people who have been demoted to bad positions, like on the fourth line, and minimal opportunity. Not great line mates to work with, and not a ton of ice time. And that's what we're seeing with Perron. So I will go with his under half of a point, put it with Buium's under half of a point, simply because I despise the way he's playing. These are the types of sniffs that I have out there on the board tonight. And then if you need one last sniff or two, well, I told you I'm working all the way from the end of the night back to the beginning of the night. We have this Battle of Florida Game 2. Game 1 was an utter embarrassment for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We saw Anthony Cirelli leave the last game, and, his status was kind of up in the air. I believe he took the morning skate. Is he going to try to play through an injury potentially tonight? Well, something that I'm seeing as the Tampa Bay Lightning are favored. People probably saw Florida wax them, so I guess the first inclination is, we got to bet Florida in this game. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I mean, maybe Florida does win, but you got to imagine a team who finished above Florida in the standings, has home ice, a rival in the truest sense of the word, is really going to give what they got to try to even up this series tonight. There's a reason the total is 5.5 after there was an offensive out. I think, what 8 goals total in the last game. So it seems like they're baiting everyone to take the over, baiting everyone to take the Florida Panthers. On the flip side, I think this probably will be of the lower scoring variety. Do you need to be convinced? Oh, I don't know. Just watch pretty much every single game in the playoffs, I guess, other than that Kings series. So what I'm going to do is take the under 3.5 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'm also going to take either the under half of a point on Anthony Cirelli, who's going to be trying to play through an injury, or I also like the under half of a point for Seth Jones. We'll do this because, if Cirelli doesn't play, then you're going to, what do I do now? I'm going to go with the under half of a point for Seth Jones, even though that's not essentially correlated because, you're taking the under on one team and then the under on a player on another team. But Seth Jones wasn't on power play 1 last game. We saw Nate Schmidt. So I'm taking the calculated shot that Seth Jones isn't on that top power play. And to me, that's the only way. He really has a ton of offensive value out there for the Florida Panthers. So the under 3.5 for the Lightning with the under half of a point on Seth Jones. Once again, I just want to reiterate, you can bet the under on, I'm going to try to do this, but you know what? I'm going to BetMGM, the account that I don't use for NHL, because I've said this right to your face. BetMGM, your same game parlay options are absolutely disgusting. I'm not insulting you as a sports book, but I am going to insult the lack of options, the zero that you let us do in the same game parlay features. I can send boatloads of people to your site. I really can. Do you want more people on BetMGM? Well, open up the same game parlay options. How do I do that? Put player points in there, put player overs in there, put player unders in there, and I'll send a whole horde of gargoyles over to your website. How did this end with me making fun of BetMGM? Because I don't have any sponsors. I can do whatever the hell I want.
We are Gargoyles.
If you enjoy me making fun of BetMGM, the only reason I can do that is because of fantastic individuals such as yourselves, the lone sponsors of this show, my Patreon members. So if you want to join them and join me being able to insult whoever the hell I want, you can do that over at patreon.com/Andy Francess. That's where I put out any sort of last-minute information. That's where I put out line combos, despite the fact it's probably not best to do them this time of year. But they were such a joyous year, I continue to put them out anyway on the nights where offense does happen to show up. I'm sure a bunch of people had the big slick line out there last night. I will put those out over on the Patreon. That's also where there's a community of other sniffers in the chat rooms sharing their absurd, preposterous tickets. I hope to see you there. If not, you can always do what's free. Take the over on 1.5 things for you to do here. Like, comment, subscribe, and obviously these videos come out at all sorts of different times, so click the notifications so you know when the latest video comes out. When's that going to happen? Who knows? In the middle of the night, tomorrow afternoon, the only way to know, click those notifications. I will see you tomorrow for the next video. It's unders for me from here on out.